Okay, here I'm going to take this file that we saw in an earlier video. It has some problems with it in terms of some of these shapes not being the counters inside the letters in particular, but there are other places too where shapes would fall out if the black were 3D printed in plastic and the white were negative shapes. So the first thing I'm going to try and simply make the letters be the positive shape and the background be the negative shape. I'm going to do that by reversing these values. I'm going to take my white selection tool and select first the clipping mask itself and give that a white fill, which will make everything else disappear. But I can still see these layers in my layers window. Which again you open by going to Window, Layers, and clicking on Layers, or you can click on this little icon here on your toolbar if you happen to have Essentials Classic selected under Workplace. Okay, so I'm going to take this next word here, has a white fill, the word anything. I'm going to make that black, and that should make this appear. There we go. Going to take the next layer here, which is, looks like it's a version of Can Happen. Whoops, I missed one of the anythings. We're going to take that, and it is already black. We're going to get rid of its stroke so that we don't have extra things going on that we don't want, or that I don't want. Okay, I'm going to take this one and again give it a black fill and eliminate the stroke so we have a little bit cleaner version of the lettering. And finally, the words Can Happen, which are all in one layer. Gonna take that fill and make it black and get rid of the stroke so that we have a little bit cleaner version of the font. There we go. Now I'm sort of wishing that I hadn't put all these words inside the clipping mask of my box, because it means that I can only mess with them using the white selection tool. So I think what I will do to give myself a little bit more freedom here, I'm going to open this layers window again, and I'm going to release the clipping mask. So, because right now, if I were to move one of these, say for example, I want to get rid of the word anything, let's click on that. Oh, I might have to click on it over here. Just click away to deselect everything. And then I'm going to click on this version of the word anything, and I should be able to move that out, but I won't be able to see it. So I've got to go looking for it if I want to mess with it and move it back in. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is just select this whole clipping group with my black selection tool. I can select it here in the layers window, or I could also click and drag everything in the clipping group like that. And so now I'm going to go Object, Clipping Mask, Release. Pretty intuitive. And obviously, since I brought my rectangle to the front to function as a clipping mask, it's kind of in the way of everything else. I could either give it no fill, or I could simply select that rectangle and Object, Arrange, Send Back where it belongs, so that I can now see what I'm doing a little bit better. So in my ongoing attempt to see if I can pull off an arrangement of letters that doesn't require a pattern in which everything attaches to the edge, my first thing was to make this version of anything, let's look at that layers window again, a lot bigger. And I chose the font Impact for it, and I messed with its proportions using the black selection tool. I can select everything independently now that I have released the clipping mask. This version of anything up here, which used to be in Chalk Duster, as you may remember from a moment ago, I have converted to a font called Ozo Sans Black. And I'm going to try to make that small and pop it right in here. I'm doing this with my black selection tool, resizing it like any Illustrator path. And I'm moving it in here. My idea is to keep it legible, but to make it connect these letters to the edge. Now, of course, I'm losing something here. It's hard to read that as anything. I could do an interpenetration here But I'm thinking that also is gonna leave me with spaces that will fall out. I'm thinking maybe I will just make this smaller and see if there is a way to connect that T just at the tiny corner there. That's probably not enough of a connection, but I may be able to just connect the T with the H here in a minute. So let's see if that will work. Before I take this into outlines, I want to make sure that I don't need to change that font. So I'm going to see if I can connect things down here at the bottom first. I don't think this chalk duster font is going to work for me, and I think I could use the word can up here to connect this N to the stroke. In fact, let's make that stroke a little bit more assertive before we do anything else. I'm going to use my black selection tool to select just the rectangle itself, which is now down here at the bottom of my former clipping group. And I'm going to give that a bigger stroke. Let's try a 6-point stroke, maybe even an 8-point stroke, just to get it a little bit more in the sturdy ballpark of my nice thick letters. Now I'm going to take can happen, and I think I'll just drag that out of my file into the trash, and I'm going to take my type tool and make can. Let's make that bigger so we can see what we're doing. And happen. Type in happen. We'll put them in two separate objects here so that we can more easily manipulate their sizes. Everything is still in, I want this to go in here now. Everything is still in the word processing way of working. But even in this word processing way of working, I can still change the size. My goal here is to make can legible, but I'm going to click away so you can see it better, but to see how, if I can use it to connect these things. And now the frame is connected with the C, is connected with the N, is connected with the A. And so all of these items are connected with the exception of this I. This I will fall out if I don't connect it somehow. Let's see, what if I take this version of can happen, which I put a rotation on. What if I take that and rotate it? You can see why the layers window is helpful here. It's really difficult to know which layer you're selecting when you're looking at the project visually, but if you look at it in the layers here, you can see that the word anything is selected. I want to select the two words can happen, so I'm lowering those words with the use of the arrow tools. I can see, though, that this is not going to work because these letters are still not going to connect it in a way that keeps that P legible. Let me try to put them into impact, which is a taller, thinner font. And let me try to, whoops. Okay, if anybody is following along here, I must admit that I have done some things off camera to see if they would work. And I'm going to just quickly go back and show you what I did. But I have selected these words independently like that. And I have gone to object, or rather type, create outlines. I can't do that now because I've already done it, but create outlines is right here. And that has been demonstrated in a previous videos, so I don't feel too guilty about doing that behind your back. But that process changes each of these words into a group that has all those letters in it. It means that they are no longer editable in the word processing method of editing, but they are now editable as paths. And so we're going to do some things to try to make them look a little bit more legible. I have fit them in here as I can. I'll select a way to get rid of that blue to see if I can make everything connect. Now, the problem letters were this N, which was out there all by itself without anything to connect it to the edge. It's now connected by means of the N, the Y, and the A. If I just make that A a tiny bit taller, there, the N, the Y, and the A are all connected to the edge and to the big A, which is connected to the edge. These letters are obviously all connected to the edge. Little problem here, the descenders on my P's will not be legible, and so that's going to look not like the word happen at all. And the same thing here, these P's overlap, and I'm going to see if we can take care of that in a minute, but I just wanted you to see what I've done before I do any more behind your back. I have simply created outlines on each of these sets of words. So now I should be able to manipulate them in the Illustrator pathway, and I'm going to do that. I'm first going to, with my black selection tool, I'm going to select this whole group, and you can see that that word lights up here in my layers palette, and I'm going to zoom in on this thing and try to just make it a little taller to get that A to connect a little bit more firmly at the top. There we go. And I'm going to select a way it looks to me like these things are all just about long enough. I'm going to pull down just a tiny smidgen to see if I can get them to connect there. Now what I'm hoping I might be able to do is to interpenetrate the G with this Y and this Y with this N so that we can see those descenders just a little bit better. So let's try that. Well, actually, there's going to be some other examples of that, so let's wait just a minute. I'm going to check with Can and make sure, I'm going to really zoom in and make sure everything's connected. I'd love it if I could just get that N to connect a little better with the edge there. So let's pull on that just a smidgen. And maybe what we really need to do is raise this up a hair. That was too much. I don't really want this thing to connect anymore. Oh, I know what I'll do. This might be the moment to go into my white selection tool and to just select the C all by itself. Oh, not the C, it's the N I want, sorry. Yeah, to select the N all by itself and to just pull up a hair on the N. Boy. Oh, I know what my problem is. I want to just select one anchor point and pull it up. And I'm going to do that there. And there. There we go. All right, now I've got N firmly connected to the edge, and I think that word is legible as the word can. I'm going to select a way so that I can see things the way they really look. Happen is connecting well here, it looks like, with these. Again, I could take, I'm going to go into the word happen. Must be this word here. Yeah. And I'm just going to select these anchor points and raise them up just a hair, the tiniest bit that I can, just to make that connect a little bit better. There we go. And I can do that on the N as well. There we go. And let's see. Can happen is a little bit too overlapped with the stroke here at the bottom in my views, so I am simply gonna raise the bottom of it just a hair without raising the top if I can. I want it to connect, obviously. but no more than connect. There we go. Now I think can happen is a little bit more legible. It occurred to me to see if I could interpenetrate the words can happen with this rectangle so that I would get little white rectangles there. Everything would still be connected if there was a little break in the stroke there, and that would help us see that those are P's instead of backward A's or something. But no, I can only interpenetrate with the whole rectangle. I can't just interpenetrate with the stroke. So I think the easiest way to do this, I could make the stroke into an object, but I think the easiest way to do this would simply to be draw a little rectangle there, a little white rectangle. Let's see if I can do that. And I'm going to just lay it right here at that intersection. Draw it like that. Make it white. And I'll just drag a copy of it. Option drag. Make the stroke into an object, but I think the easiest way to do this would simply to be draw a little rectangle there, a little white rectangle. Let's see if I can do that. And I'm going to just lay it right here at that intersection. Draw it like that. Make it white. And I'll just drag a copy of it. Option drag. Right there. And I think we're still good. This area here will now connect through the top and through all these connections. Yes, we're still good. And now we can see my P a little bit better. This place where it sticks out just a little bit, I'm going to fix that by getting rid or moving these anchor points. So just the way that I did before, I'll select the P, I'll take that anchor point, click once to select it, and just click and drag it. And this reveals that my rectangle isn't quite the right size. So let's see if we can make it just exactly the right size. There we go. All right, now I think I'll get rid of this rectangle. Move these points up just the way that I did on the other P. Click once to select it. Click once to drag it up. And now I'm going to go back to this one, go to my black selection tool, Option, whoops, let's zoom out a little bit, Option click on this, or Alt click if you happen to be on and there I've dragged a copy of that over. So anything can happen can now be read a little bit better. And I think we will try to get the same effect with the N of happen and the G. Let's see if we can do just those letters. So let's use the white selection tool to click this letter and the G of anything. I think that's going to be this G here. We're going to shift click to select just those two things and see if we can use the Pathfinder tool on them. Yeah, cool. Okay, so my N is now visible. It isn't helping anymore to connect this G, but that doesn't matter because the G is well connected to the edge there. And the N is well connected here. So I think I'm still good. The E is just barely connected, but we're going to take it. Okay, now I want to see if I can do something similar with the the descenders rather on these P's. So I'm going to use my white selection tool to select the P, shift select the E so I get them selected together. I'm using the white selection tool because this is still a grouped word and I just want to select one letter out of it and one letter out of this. So once I have those two selected, I'm going to go to Window, Pathfinder, and use the Interpenetrate tool and see how I think that looks. And I think it looks kind of cool. So let's try the same thing here, Interpenetrate. So we've got can fairly legible. We've got happen let's see. You know, I think instead of interpenetrating here, what I might do is take this riser and raise it up so that it just, let's try that and see how that works. So that it just kisses the edge of that. So I'm going to click once on this, raise it up there, click once on this, and raise it up there, and see if we can just kind of make those smoothly connect. I think we can still read this word, especially since we've got it right here to show us. Let's try interpenetrating it with the H just to nick off that little corner and see if we like that effect. Shift select on the two H's, interpenetrate, select away. What do we think? I'm not sure it makes a big difference, but it does give us one little more example of interpenetration, which kind of rhymes with the rest of these, and it might be a nice little sparkle. There's nothing here that needs to interpenetrate. Everything is connected, although this I is connected rather iffily. It's only connected at these tiny little places here. Let's solve the Y and the N here. Let's get them to interconnect, or I mean to interpenetrate, and the same with the, that works, the same with the G and the Y here, so that we can just read those letters a little bit better. That works for me. So the one thing I can think that would make this I connect a little bit better, and it is really our problem child, it is the one thing here that is not connecting with the edge, is that we could get rid of this critter. I'm going to just delete the anchor points, and that should make it go away, and substitute a circle instead. Let's use our ellipse tool, hold the shift key down, and I want something that's about the size of that edge. And let's see if we can, whoops, that's not where I meant it to come out, but it's easy to move. Just going to move it with the, that circle feels a little too big to me. Of course, if we make it much smaller, it won't serve to connect, which was the whole idea. Selecting away, I do not like this round ball here. It just does not look in scale with the rest of the letters. I'm thinking maybe an ellipse would be better. I'm just going to see if I can pull this out to something that feels a little more reasonable. I'm moving it with my arrow tools to get it more or less centered on that I, and I like that better already. It seems to rhyme with these squashed letters a little bit more, and I'm thinking that could work. The only thing I'm not liking here right now is the way this H and this Y connect with each other. I'm thinking I'd like to see a little interpenetration, the way I'm seeing, you know, kind of sparkle around the screen in other places. So again, I'll try it and see what happens. I will take my anchor point here. I'm gonna select the anchor point once to make sure it knows what I want to do, and then I'm gonna drag that anchor point up just part way and see what happens. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Select it once, drag it up until I get a horizontal line, so that there's a little place where they would interpenetrate. I don't really need to make these connect here because they are well connected at the top and bottom, but I do need to make sure those anchor points are on a level with each other. Are they? Y is 5.35, Y is 5.35. Yes, they are level. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one, shift select this one, and see if Pathfinder will work. This is already combined with another object up here, but it didn't seem to hurt anything. So I'm liking that. I think I like that little square there. It kind of rhymes with these little spaces here and makes me feel that this is a little bit more designed. I'm going to try the same thing with these two letters here. Just see if I can get a little bit of interpenetration to, since these are both well connected, I feel that that's, I can afford to cut them apart from each other there. Okay, so this design has a lot of open space in it. My goal here was to try to create a design where everything was connected when I didn't use a background pattern. And as you see, this will really provide a lot of open space for the lighting to show through. Whether that's might be, actually be a problem because there's so much open space, is something that if I were working with a group of IT students, I'd want to talk to them about. So I hope you will consult with them this week while you're finalizing your design.